position yourself to receive from God with Bishop David G. Evans teaching When Men Pray.
Have there been times when you have asked someone to pray for you and the prayer has not been answered? Because instead of praying for yourself, you waited until someone else that you thought had more power would pray for you. Prayer is something that you resort to immediately and not as a last resort. You need to learn how to pray preemptively. You need how to pray ahead of time. Don't always be praying in response. Pray proactively. Pray before it happens. Lord, cover my child. Lord, bless my day.
Develop your relationship with God with this dynamic teaching on CD or DVD when you write to us. Visit our website or call 1-800-591-8480.
It's now easier than ever to stay connected with David G. Evans and the Bethany Baptist Church family. Follow the ministry and rejoice in all that God is doing by following us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. On Facebook, you'll be up to date on the latest happenings. You can watch our Sunday services on Facebook Live, 8 and 11 a.m. Eastern.
Here comes the power. Hallelujah.
Words of wisdom and encouragement can be found on Twitter, and you'll get up-to-the-minute sermon points as they happen in our weekly worship services. Follow us on Instagram and be blessed by the inspirational and special moments that are highlighted each week, and meet the people who are the heart of our ministry. And if it's video you want, subscribe to the Bethany Baptist Church channel on YouTube. See the celebrations, the special events, and the many, many people who are helping to transform lives one at a time. Stay connected with David G. Evans on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, and become a member of our broadcast family today.
What if you could make one decision to unleash everything great in your life? Would you do it? Would you say yes? Aren't you tired of your relationships, your health, and so much more suffering because you lack the truth you need to change? The life you desire is within your reach. You can achieve all the success, happiness, and prosperity you deserve by simply learning the secrets that lead to real personal transformation. Change is hard, but not impossible. You just have to make one radical decision to get real. And there's no better authority on the real steps to change than David G. Evans.
Some men trust in chariots. Some men trust in horses. But we will trust in the Lord.
David G. Evans is leading the charge to bring you the power to change your life. He is committed to the mission of helping you transform and become a person of power, and it starts with his all-new system to change your situation. At the centerpiece of this life-altering collection is David Evans' groundbreaking training course. From ridiculous to radical to real, this means war. In this series, you will discover the steps to change. This series includes 2 powerful messages, each on winning the battle in your mind and cultivating a language of faith. That's 4 messages, 4 power-filled hours of material. If you want a better marriage, this series has the answers. If you want to achieve financial independence God's way, the secrets in this series will empower you to make it happen. If you want a life of power, anointing, and influence, this series will show you how to get it, and there's more. You're looking for serious, immediate results. So Bishop Evans will also include one of his best-selling messages called Weapon of Warfare. This classic teaching will build you up to start fighting in the spirit for what you deserve. This powerhouse collection, from ridiculous to radical to real, and Weapon of Warfare, will give you all the biblical strategies you need to change anything in your life. This collection will ship to you immediately with your gift today to David G. Evans Ministries. This ministry is revolutionizing the kingdom by empowering believers. Souls are being saved daily, and we need your help to grow this impact in a real way. Call now and sow your seed of just $35 for your transformation to help people around the world. Your $35 love gift goes straight to the front lines of ministry, providing help to those that need it most. Call now. Make the decision to get the power you need to change your life forever.
Well, praise the Lord, everybody. Welcome to On Point, the #1 Saturday morning Christian-based call-in talk show in America, live every Saturday morning at David G. Evans 1. That's at David G. Evans 1 on any smart device. You can give us a call today. Most intelligent spiritual callers in the world are part of On Point. 866-743-8267. 866-743-8267. That's 866-743-82-EVANS. Give us a call to the #1 Saturday morning Christian-based call-in talk show in America, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. every Saturday morning. We ask you now to share with someone, inbox, tweet them, call them on the phone, text them, let them know On Point is on. Tell them to jump on right now and be a part of this life-changing conversation. We have a very special guest host today. Reverend Nicholas Smith is out today, but Reverend Richard White is here with us today.
Good morning. Good morning.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing all right. How are you doing, sir?
I like having fresh meat on the broadcast.
Pastor Nick will be back. He will be back.
So glad you could help us this morning. A lot of things happened this week.
Yes, sir.
We'd be remiss if we did not talk about the debate. We've got to, I think what we'll do today is take some kind of survey. And that survey will not be who you're for necessarily, but who do you think helped themselves through this last debate? Think the president helped himself? You think Joe Biden helped himself? So this is not a vote on who you're for, who you're pitching for in this particular presidential election cycle, but what we want to know is based on what you saw about the debate, not what you heard, what you saw about the debate. Did the president help himself? Did Joe Biden help himself? We find this week also that some of the trials for the vaccine have been brought to a halt because one of the participants passed away.
That's right.
This week. I think last week most of them shut down because there was this mysterious illness.
That's right.
Anytime that happens in the process, and I'm glad Rich is here to talk to us about this whole pharma thing. He understands the science part of this better than anybody that I know, especially the folk in this room, including me. Amen. So we have an expert in the field with us today. All kinds of emotional, radical points of view are being revealed.
Yes.
You've got folk plotting to kidnap and kill governors. You have teenagers attempting to keep order, doing protests with a rifle. You've got a 19-year-old that was plotting to kill Joe Biden.
And he was fully loaded.
Yeah, and he was everything he needed to do it. He had. We find ourselves in the middle of this COVID environment, and that's what I call it now. I'm troubled by the fact that we're still being told that we're turning the corner when yesterday we had the highest one-day rate of infection since the thing began.
Over 80,000 new cases just yesterday.
That doesn't look like a corner being turned to me.
It doesn't look like it at all.
And also, I think, I just think 250,000 people dying at this point is not a corner being turned.
It's not a corner, and as we go into the winter, flu season and coldness, the surge is coming back. You got all the middle America states that are on a significant rise. It's we haven't turned the corner yet.
No, and half the country is peaking. That to me is not a corner being turned.
No.
If half the nation, Idaho of all places, the #1 infectious per capita place in the world right now.
That's right. That's right.
How is that a corner being turned? I don't know how you twist that, turn that, pivot on that, and make that a good sign.
Well, they always tell me the data doesn't lie.
That's right.
The data's
people
there.
do.
Yeah, people do, but the data doesn't, and the data is certainly there.
And I find these experiments that we're having, Rich, and I call them experiments, every time they bring people back together in an environment, restaurants, bars, gyms, schools, colleges, elementary schools, every time they bring people back together, we experience some kind of spike in that particular area. I don't know where the common sense is, the correlation between, okay, every time we do this, and I'm not a scientist, but I'm watching. I am relatively gifted at pattern recognition. Every time they try, I call them experiments because they're actually petri dishes.
Right.
Boom, here we come with another Now, the spike. What is, first off, explain to us, if you can, what is the development process for vaccine?
Yeah.
And how long does it legitimately take to get one to market?
Yeah, it usually takes 18 to 24 months.
Okay.
And
Why?
the development, well, because it has to go through the 3 phases, right?
Okay.
The first phase, only a few people get the vaccine.
Okay.
The second phase, you get 20 to 50 patients that get the actual vaccine.
So when you say a few, you mean like 4 or 5?
Yeah, like 10.
Okay.
Right. And then the second phase, you get 30 to 50.
Okay.
And then the third phase, you get like 30,000 people that take this. This is why they were asking for folks to volunteer and what have you. 30,000 people get the vaccine.
Okay.
Half get the placebo, half get the vaccine.
Okay.
And then they have to monitor them over a certain period of time to see how they react.
And that's months, not days.
And that's months, not days, which
Okay.
is why the AstraZeneca J&J stoppage, J&J, somebody passed away, but they say it wasn't related to the vaccine.
How do they know?
They just say all the science says it wasn't related to the vaccine. And then AstraZeneca, somebody had a neurological disorder.
Okay.
So they slowed it down, which was the right thing to do. But other companies slowed down too, but they're all back. Moderna's back, J&J's back, AstraZeneca's back, with continuing the trials that they had put in place.
Now, the government has contracted these 3 or 4 organizations to develop the vaccine, right?
Well, they're privately owned companies, right?
Right.
I mean, not privately. They're publicly held companies.
So
They are
was a
working
deal
with
cut?
the government
Was a deal
so
cut?
that they would have access to the vaccine when it's available. Yes.
Now that they're not philanthropic, so what kind of money are they paid to develop the vaccine?
Well, all that research money, I mean, there's folks that put money into the pharma companies, right? But the
Okay.
pharma companies are really self-funded.
Okay.
They put billions of dollars into pharmaceutical research that takes years, and normally they have a 10 to 15% hit rate.
So
on new drugs.
we're racing to get it first.
Mm-hmm.
We discover and test it, find out ours works. They're not going to give it away. Does the government buy it from them, or do the companies sell it to who?
Well, the companies sell it, right?
To who?
To the government, to other institutions,
So
to
it's a-
other
okay. All
other
right.
countries.
Okay.
So
Because they're not going to give it away. So
it's not going to give it away.
Okay.
But like the flu vaccine today, it's free.
Right.
You don't pay for it. You don't pay for the flu vaccine.
right.
But you do, but there was a time when you did. But you don't anymore. So this
Okay.
thing, the reality.
Now, when does it stop? After it's been on the market for a
Hasn't
certain
been
amount of
on
time?
market for a certain while. But the flu vaccine has to change every year because it's a new strain.
But you don't pay for it new every year.
You don't pay. Well, it's being subsidized by
Government.
yes, and the pharma companies.
So the pharma companies. All right. So
And a lot of that goes. See, they make most of their money on their patented drugs. This is a world health pandemic, so this is not so much.
other
of,
countries will have to, if they get the patent, other countries will have to get permission to use the formula.
Right, but more than likely, Bishop, this from a humanitarian standpoint.
Are they humanitarians?
Well, I don't know, but from a humanitarian standpoint, the World Health Organization would hope that whoever comes up with the drug first would make sure that other companies have access to produce it. Because even if one company comes up with it,
Yeah.
they don't have the capability to produce
Enough.
for
Right.
the world, let alone the U.S.
So I lease you the rights to use my formula.
Exactly.
So it's like the Blu-ray in the machines.
And
Sony owns the Blu-ray,
yes,
and everybody else who has Blu-ray in their system has to lease the right to use
to
it
have
from
access to it.
them. Yeah. So governments will actually be go into contract with whoever gets it.
Yeah, that's the reality is, that
Okay.
there will be countries that get it before other countries, right?
That's why it didn't make sense to me that there was like 3 or 4 racing to get it done.
Yeah.
But now,
Well, they don't wanna be first,
The
'cause
profit
that's gonna help
side,
their-
the profit side on it's going to be incredible.
Well, it's going to help their overall shareholder value.
You have a nice way of saying that.
Overall shareholder value.
Overall shareholder value.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll remember that statement. Going to help the overall shareholder value. Okay. These stockholders going to make money.
Diplomatic way to put it.
Very good, Reverend White. I believe you. So the debate. Did you see any of it?
I did watch it. I was watching the debate and the Eagles at the same time, I have to admit. I was watching both of them, but I did watch them, and I do have, I thought it was better than the first one. And when you talk about the 3, I thought Christian Welker did a wonderful job. And when
She helped herself.
And when our president said he's the least racist person in the room, I said, well, you know, she's black.
Wow.
To myself, I said.
Well, yeah. I wish someone who was in the psychiatry or one of those brain disciplines would tell me what is it narcissism or is it egomania that makes him the best at everything? He's either the best or the least. And both of those titles for him means he's very good at what he's doing.
Yeah.
I'm the least racist in the room. I know more than the generals. I'm the most caring person in the room. I know more than the scientists. It's always the extreme that makes him the best at what he's talking about at the time. Is that some kind of psychological condition? One of our doctors that listens to us, one of our psychiatrists that listens to us can give us a call. 866-743-8267, 866-743-8267. Now, I call him my president, but I have to understand, why is it he never makes a mistake?
Well, that's a great question. I mean, I'm sure that our medical staff can call in and talk about that. But my understanding is that he was brought up in a world that said you are the best, you're better than everybody, and you always will be.
It must be frightening to know that's not true, and to be willing to fabricate almost every other sentence in order to maintain what he obviously sees is not true. How unhappy must he be?
Yeah, but if you've always won, at least perceived to have won.
Perception.
Perceived to have won. What does that do to you going forward? You know.
Well, I've always said, and I'll continue to say, if you fail at people, I think you fail in life. And when they were trying to rebuild the economy of Atlantic City, I happened to share a gym with the lead attorney for that project. Mm-hmm. And he was telling me about the number of people that were forced into bankruptcy because the Trump organization did not pay their bills. Mm-hmm. He would build the casino, string the vendors out, certain vendors, not all of them, not the roofers, not, not the guys that would hurt you. Mm-hmm. Right? So at that time, I know they're much kinder and gentler now. So that he was proud of the fact that he was smart enough to bankrupt his company, not pay the vendors, glass workers, drywall people, you name it, knowing it was going to send those businesses into financial ruin. Mm-hmm. And when he was asked the question, he said, I didn't break any laws. There was no humanity in his answer. Yeah. The attorney told me this to my face, standing in the gym. We were talking about it. And I said, do you have any perception about this? He said, he has no humanity at all. So people lost their businesses, their homes, right. Kids out of school, right. Automobiles repossessed, just because he fundamentally decided he wasn't paying anybody that he didn't have to pay. Mm.
Well, you know that at some point all that's going to come to light, right?
Well, it has.
Now,
people have ignored it.
I mean, yeah, but in terms of the reality of folks coming with the paper saying, hey, this is it, whether it's while he's in his office or if after another 4 years, but at some point,
now,
you would think it's going to happen.
866-743-8267, 866-743-8267. Taking a survey this morning. If you watch the debate and are able to give a balanced opinion, because we have the most spiritual, intelligent callers in the world that are connected to OnPointe. We want to hear if you thought the president helped himself, if Biden helped himself. 866-743-8267. Here comes Deborah Niles. Hey, Deborah, how you doing?
Good. I'm doing well. Good morning, Bishop. How are you today?
I'm doing all right. This is Dr. Deborah Niles that's on with us today. What's your comment today, Dr. Deb?
Yes, so this is my comment. So in the field of psychiatry, just like even in regular medicine, most of our diagnosis comes from the history that the patient gives. When you were asking about what possible diagnosis the president, could have, we rely on the truthfulness of what patients tell us.
Okay.
And if they're not giving us all the facts with what's going on with their condition, it's going to make it very, very difficult to get to the right diagnosis in a timely fashion.
Okay.
So usually what we do, about 70% of the diagnosis comes from the history, 20% physical exam, 10% blood test.
Okay.
In the field of psychiatry, because I'm a family physician, we see a lot of psychiatry in our field, and we're trained in it. What we rely on is what the patient tells us. So if the patient isn't being truthful, it's going to be very difficult to get a diagnosis. And so what sometimes happens in psychiatry, and I've seen this over the many years of practicing, we'll start with one diagnosis, and then maybe a year, 5 years later, we realize, we don't have really the right diagnosis. This is probably, and we see that with bipolar illness, because it's very, very difficult sometimes, especially if a bipolar is in their depressed phase and they're not manic. It can be very tough to uncover that diagnosis. So that was my comment.
So wait a minute now. So behavior and pattern recognition have nothing to do with diagnosis?
Yes, that does help. But so we have criteria, the DSM-5. There's actually a whole book.
I have it.
Goes over.
It's very good. Very good reading.
Yes, very good reading. DSM-4 we had initially, and they realized they had to reclassify certain illnesses. So that's why they came up with DSM-5. And in DSM-5, you still have to look at the criteria. If I have a patient who tells me that they've just been sad, maybe for a week, 2 weeks, that's not full-blown depression.
All right, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. So if I've been watching a guy on TV for 4 years and he's been maniacally consistent in his behavior, you can't draw a conclusion from that accumulative context. Yet you can.
You can.
All right, I'm trying.
But people are afraid to do that. Yes, you can.
Okay, because
yes, you can.
Parents do it all the time.
Yes,
that's right.
Yeah,
Accumulated information.
Well, that's what happens if you have a family member that comes in. Particularly with dementia, a lot of times it takes up to 7 years to get that diagnosis, because unless you have someone observing them and seeing what's happening, in the home, you're not going to have a timely diagnosis,
right?
On that patient. So, and I think with the president, to be honest with you, there are multiple diagnoses going on.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think there's just one.
Okay.
So that was my comment.
All right. What did you think of the debate? Did the president help himself? Biden help himself? What do you think happened?
I thought I was watching two different debates. I heard the question, and then I heard two different responses consistently, and I'm thinking, what world does the president live in? When he talked about the pandemic, nothing is getting better. All you have to do is look at the science and the numbers.
Yeah.
And the death rate, and people are still dying of this virus. We're not turning the corner.
I think to me, 1,000 folk a day is not turning the corner.
That's not turning the corner.
But in my mindset, they try to bring some shade of irrelevance to the death rate, when in my mind, one of those numbers represents a family.
Yeah.
So one person dying is significant to me. 250,000 people is overwhelming to me as I think of the grief that it's causing people in the nation. And I understand the percentage game. There's 300 million of us, 250,000 is just minuscule. No, those numbers have names. And since those numbers have names, we should be concerned not with just the percentage, but with the reality that someone is attached to that number.
Yeah, and 20% of those people are just right here in the U.S.
Yes.
Of the total number.
Yes. 20% up here.
8 billion people. We only have 360.
Wow.
And we represent 20% of the deaths.
Wow.
Worldwide.
Thank you, Dad.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Talk to you. Bye-bye.
Talk to you later.
866-743-8267. We're going to Thomas from Fort Lauderdale, line 3. Hey, Thomas.
Good morning.
How you doing this morning?
Pretty good, Bishop. A couple things when you were talking about him being totally out of touch. He went to Wharton Business School.
Yeah.
president.
You're not implying people that went to Wharton are out of touch, are you?
Hey, no, University of Pennsylvania is a great place, but the problem is, the problem is, he claimed he was on the honor roll. I'm talking about going back to his history. He claimed he was on the honor roll there. Nobody can find that information.
Everybody knows he wasn't on the honor roll.
And they also think that he also has somebody else taking SATs.
Everybody knows. Everybody knows he didn't take the SATs. He got somebody take it for him. They've been doing that forever.
But this has been accepted behavior for him forever. And I think that's part of the problem. He doesn't see any difference in it. And you were talking about the numbers just now. If you look at the numbers in Canada, you keep saying, we did all these things. I don't know exactly what Canada did, but they have no numbers close to ours as far as percentage-wise. So they did something right that we didn't do nationally.
Well, I tend to believe that Americans, Rich, you help me with this. Americans will press a point of quote unquote liberty at the expense of their own lives. It makes no sense to me. You realize that they're saying it takes away a liberty for them to wear masks.
Yes.
It was you may not be old enough to remember this. It was the same argument by a few people when they told us we had to wear seatbelts. It was a law. People were upset because they were being made to wear something that would prevent them from going through a windshield when an accident happened. And the government said, we don't care what you say, you're going to wear them or you're going to get fined. So everybody had to wear them. Then they put bells in your car to make sure you're aggravated enough to wear them.
That's right. That's right.
You want the noise to stop? Put the belt on.
Put the belt
I think
on.
that's one of the best ways of putting it. Seatbelts compared to masks.
There you go.
The safety is right there.
Both would save your life.
Save your life.
And the other thing you were talking about, the craziness. I'm here in Florida, and this pig tree that's crazy. Our governor is just letting, you know what, I'm glad the superintendent of schools down in Miami just said, hey, I don't care what the governor says. These kids cannot go to school because every day we're getting cases. But he's opening everything. I mean, literally, you don't have to wear a mask. You can't get fined because the governor said, not going to fine you. I don't know what Trump's got on him or what's going on.
I think number one, I think your governor thinks that the president's going to get reelected. Number two, I think your governor thinks if he doesn't get elected, that he's mistakenly about this, thinks Trump will hire him after his job in government is over. Number three, he cannot see past his own failed attempt to get reelected. So I think he's applying for a job either with the president if the president gets reelected or with the president when the president leaves office, and he is unconcerned about the legacy that he's going to leave of thousands of people dying on his watch because he was trying to please some politician.
Yeah, there's not a focus on just the country itself.
No.
People will say, well, China's communist. That's how come they were able to lock it down. And I said, well, but New Zealand isn't.
No, not at all.
Canada isn't.
Not at all.
A lot of the European companies where they're starting to see a spike, they weren't communist, but they locked things down. But then folks got to this COVID fatigue with I'm tired of this. I can't do it no more. No, you can do it.
Oh, yeah.
You need to do it.
If you want to live.
If you want to live.
I don't think it has to be an extreme. I don't think an extreme has to be created. And that is somebody you care about laying in a hospital, fighting for their lives, and you suddenly say, this thing is serious. Why don't you have compassion when other people are suffering with this thing? The Bible talks about Jesus being moved with compassion.
Yes.
Compassion is not a concept. Compassion, for it to be authentic, has to have some type of comparative action connected to it. So what I'm seeing in the country is a real lack of Christian love for one another and an obvious lack of compassion.
Yeah, when do people stop caring about each other?
I don't know when, but you know what? I think another question has to be asked.
Yeah.
When did it become okay to exhibit a lack of compassion?
Yeah. Yeah, overt.
And I would say they became empowered to do so in these last 4 years.
Last 4 years, because it wasn't with the last administration.
No.
There was no lack of compassion.
No.
I think it's become acceptable.
Absolutely. Which means we talk about, when we say our thoughts and our prayers are with you, we're talking about concepts. Because thoughts and prayers are some of the content of compassion, and compassion requires action.
Right.
It's like love is not a concept, it's an action. Compassion is not a concept, it's an action. Grace is not a concept, it's an action. Mercy is not a concept, it's an action. You can't have authentic grace, mercy, love, and compassion without appropriate movement connected to it. It's just that simple biblically.
It is. The Good Samaritan, the story is right.
It's right there, right there in front of you.
Plain as day.
I didn't mean to start preaching, man.
Go.
But it's common sense defying that the United States has been revealed as a nation that has a problem with authentic compassion. Those kids at the border, that whole policy void of compassion.
Even his answer.
Sound like I'm running for office.
It does, but
even
it
his
does
answer
not.
during the debate about the kids, are they being taken care of? Well, guess what? They don't have their parents. I don't know how much taken care of that is.
Well, I think a parent without an authentic relationship with his children could say something like that, as though, the place is clean. It might be a cage, but at least it's clean. That something's missing.
Yeah. It's one thing for your parent to leave you, which I don't know what that's like.
Yeah.
But it's one thing for your parent to leave. It's another thing for you to be taken away.
Yeah.
From parents that loved you and that are caring for you.
But a parent watching this and having the perception that we're seeing from our government.
Right.
Has parenting stopped being parenting? Mm-hmm. Is it now more of a concept than it is a way of doing things? I don't know. Tom, I'm so glad you called us today.
Thank you. It was one other thing I'm letting you get off. He did this even when he was running in 2020 against his own Republican counterparts.
Mm-hmm.
He deflects very good.
You call it deflection?
Well, what he does, he takes it and he turns it around and he goes after your jugular.
You're being really nice this morning, Tom. A deflection?
I wouldn't say deflect, but what he does is he takes the spotlight off himself and goes after, he calls people all kind of names.
Who's the guy with the white hair that was? Who's the guy with white hair that was running for president? Real social, liberal guy. Bernie Sanders. How does his name come up in the conversation?
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
And not only that, I'm glad Biden said, I'm running, not Bernie Sanders.
Said I beat all those guys.
Yeah. Come on, man. Come on. I mean, we still talking about Hillary. Come on. We're 4 years into his administration. It's time to stop referring to Obama, Hillary, and what's his name again?
Bernie Sanders.
Bernie Sanders.
And if I've been in the job 4 years and something's wrong, they're going to look at me and say, you've been here 4 years.
Nobody's looking at your predecessor.
6 months in maybe, but 4 years?
Not 4 years, man.
And if he's going to fix the country, he's been there 4 years. Why hasn't he done it yet?
There's no way. I know Rich has this experience. I have it. Everywhere I've gotten promoted in corporate life required a turnaround. Every single position. Yeah. People had failed. They put me in it to see if I was going to fail. And then it turned around. Every single corporate position in my career.
Never given a groove.
No. You don't get a groove. You don't get a flow.
You go fix this.
No. Yeah.
Oh, you fixed that? Go fix this.
Yeah.
Oh, you did that?
Yeah.
Too?
Go fix it. Yeah. That's how it works.
I can't believe he's doing it.
So in those situations, I had maybe a week to ask questions about my predecessor's habits and practices and what he or she did.
And you also had to deal with the fact that you were probably the first person of color that whole team had worked for.
I was.
So that was a dynamic that you had to.
Yeah, you gotta navigate
savvy,
that.
Organizational agility.
Yeah, you gotta navigate those realities. I don't have the opportunity. I didn't have the opportunity to refer back to someone that had been whose position I'd taken 2 years before.
Yeah, no, it's yours, Doc. It's yours.
Unbelievable. Anyway, so do you think the president helped himself, or do you think Joe Biden helped himself?
I think Biden did. I think I thought it was close, but I think Biden definitely pulled this one out a little better than President. Personal opinion.
So you didn't see much credibility in the performance of a little more control.
No, I thought it was a little better than before, but he still didn't, come up with any thing that was pertinent. I didn't think he still had no plan.
Rich, let me ask you a question. And Tom, while I got you on the phone, I want to ask you and Rich a question. Why do you think people are willing to follow him saying we have a plan to replace your health care and present no plan and still have confidence in the fact that he has a plan?
It has nothing to do with that. We
Right.
know it has nothing to do
I know
with
it didn't. I'm throwing you a softball.
It has nothing to do with that.
I'm throwing you a
at all.
softball.
It's about, folks wanting him in there because they feel that he represents them.
Okay.
That's all it
And
is.
that's absolutely
Okay.
correct.
Okay.
The old tribal instinct. He has scared people with this. Your neighborhood or your suburb is going to disappear. Suburbans, and this is going to happen, and that's going to happen. I think the underlying message there is deeper than health care.
Okay.
He has people scared right now.
I think he hurt himself because, if he declined that second debate, right?
Right.
So folks only had that first that those folks that were on the fence after that first debate, they had a whole few weeks to make their decision.
Right.
And they went and voted. Over 40 million people have already voted.
Based on that.
If he would have did that second debate and had been the more calmer person
He might
that he
have
was
helped himself.
Thursday, I think he would have helped himself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he missed that opportunity.
Thank you, man.
Have a good day.
Talk to you now. 866-743-8267, 866-743-8267, 866-743-EVANS. We're going to Danny from Florida. You can give us a call. Now, today, we're talking about the debate, and from this context, do you think the candidates hurt themselves or helped themselves? Not who you voted for, not who you're going to vote for, but simply, do you think the candidates helped themselves or hurt themselves? Let's go to Danny from Florida. How you doing, Dan?
Bishop, good morning. How you doing?
Doing great, man. How's my sister doing?
Very good, very good. We were up at 5:30 this morning. We made it to cast our vote this morning about 5:45, and we made it through. It's been raining here, so I'm proud of the citizens that in the area. They've been persistent in the rain.
Okay.
They have stood in long lines to take care of casting their votes.
How long did it take you to vote this morning?
Approximately 1 hour because I was there first.
Okay. I guess that's one way to do it.
Yeah. I mean, it's the only way. I worked during the week, so even though I was tired and made sure that I get up my regular time, just like I was going to work on the job, I went and did that. My wife was right there along with me, and we made it through.
Now, what time did the polls open?
7 o'clock.
Okay. Did the line accumulate quickly while you were standing waiting for the building to open?
Down the street. It was down the street.
Really?
Cars were parked maybe about 2 blocks away. People were walking, and I mean they were coming in. But they were moving swiftly, though.
Any problems at the polls this morning?
No. The only thing is that they've been just a lot of these manipulations that the president is doing down here as far as what goes so he can get free media time is that he's supposed to be casting his vote up in Palm Beach, which is the next county up from us. And they've been putting a lot of time into that, things like that.
He's going to actually come to Palm Beach, or he's going to mail his vote in?
He is in Palm Beach, and he's going to they said that he was going to go and be at the polling place and cast his vote, drop it off, or whatever he's going to do.
I heard that this morning.
So they're going to have a spreader event at the polls this morning?
Yes. And the reason for doing that is because of Obama will be in Miami today.
Yeah.
So that's the counter.
You know what? Just a little tangential this morning. I'm going to throw you and Reverend Rich another softball. It's not going to be a hard ball. It's going to be a slow pitch. I'm telling you ahead of time, so you guys can hit it. What is this man's obsession with Barry Obama? What is it?
You know, President Obama was so cool. He had that Obama cool. And you and I have talked, Bishop, about people that can lead versus people that want to lead.
Yeah.
And it was just something that Obama had that folks just don't have. He had the it thing.
Okay.
And you want to put that aside and put that down so that you make yourself back as you're the it thing.
Right.
But you can't. I mean, he's still cool.
He exists, Bishop. That's all. He
agree with
exists.
Rich said he's still cool. He's not president anymore. He's still cool.
Obama has a swag about him, and he has that personality, and he has a way of speaking and getting the point over without being, rude or anything like that. But he has a way of communicating.
Yeah,
does he appear to be? Because I wonder why. 3 years into our president's time in office, he was still referring to President Obama almost every time I saw him on television.
Because that generates his base, right?
But here's the deal. He is the antithesis of Barack Obama.
Mm.
If you look at the education,
Mm-hmm.
if you look at the family stability,
Mm-hmm.
if you look at the wife and intelligence, if you look at his time in politics,
Oh my.
if you look at just the way he carries himself, if you look at his physical nature,
It's a long
if
list.
you look at his big ability to articulate his ideas, to rally support across racial lines, if you look at all of that,
And the genuine compassion that people love him.
well, they say he's high, but they say Michelle Obama's receptivity in the world
Yeah.
is off the charts.
Yeah, you should see it. I mean, globally, we were in Denmark and she came.
Mhm.
So things sold out in 30 minutes. But I was talking to a guy yesterday, Bishop, in Manchester, England,
Okay.
who used to work with me, and I said, what's your perception of this? He said, why can't y'all just go back to the way it was? In other words, he said, we don't know here in Europe if either choice is the right choice.
Right.
Because it's so much different than what you all had.
Yeah.
Because our last president was embraced by the world, pretty much.
Absolutely.
I mean, there were certain countries, communist countries, that didn't
And there will
like
always
him.
be disagreement
Right.
in our nation about a policy
Right.
and the way a person is executing their task. But I have Republican friends that actually miss the Obama era.
And I have Democratic friends that one called me this morning. He's in his barbershop. His barbershop is owned by a black guy.
Okay.
And the black guy is voting for Trump. And so
Okay.
he said, I'm not going back to that bar. He said, why are you voting for Trump? Guy said, I was a felon. I got out of jail. I was able to open my business. All under this administration.
Okay.
And I was like, wow, well, but what about the underlying
Here's my problem.
concern and not being able to address the issues that we see every day?
Here's my problem. As a business person, Republican policies have always benefited me. As a pastor for 30 years, those policies don't in reality benefit the people that I serve. That prevents me from being a Republican.
That's right.
Because my concern about the people that I serve is much, much more important to me than my business having advantages through a Republican administration.
That's right.
And since I've been doing this 30 years, I've seen both sides of the fence. And in that context, and I have friends who are Republicans who are pastoring African American people. And I still think they're wrong, and they know I think they're wrong. Because, you're doing great, but your folk is struggling. I have a problem with that.
Yeah. And I thought that comment about the barbershop owner, I mean, he's justified in whatever his comment is, but once he walks outside, once he talks to his kids, guess what?
Yeah, they're suffering under the administration.
He's still black.
Exactly.
That's right. At the end of the day.
All day long.
All day long.
Bishop, on that same example of felons, they are oppressed here in Florida because
Okay.
the public voted for them.
I
to
saw
have
that.
Restoration of their
I
rights.
saw that.
And DeSantis made sure that when he came in, that they put a attachment to that, an amendment to that they had to restore whatever monies or funds were to be paid back. Where when we voted for that, we wanted that to be just restore them. They've done their time. Let them go ahead and be able to do.
Here's my issue. They decided that the number of felons residing in Florida was enough to worry about in an election season.
Exactly.
That's what they decided.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
You know, it may sound like a small number to us in comparison to the entire population of the state, but the reality is whoever was running thought those 30, 40,000 folk, I think it's 30 or 40,000 people, right?
Right.
Was enough of a number that we needed to do something about that.
Yeah. You're right on it, Bishop.
Man, thank you. Tell my sister I said hello.
Oh, okay, Bishop.
All right, man. Talk to you soon.
All right. Be blessed.
We've got Brother Sidney from Sicklerville on the phone, New Jersey. We've got Angela from Lexington, Kentucky. How much time do we have?
15 minutes.
Got 15 minutes? Let's go to a break. We're going to come back to Brother Sidney and come back to Angela in just a moment. This is On Point.
Isn't it time to stop reliving your past hurts and move on to a bright and hopeful future?
I have a right to be upset, but I don't have a right to be wounded for the rest of my life. So I choose to be healed.
Get rid of the bitter poison that unforgiveness administers to the soul with Bishop David G. Evans. Forgive again, live again.
It's a liberating experience, and being able to forgive someone and forgiving yourself. It's liberating.
Forgiveness will deliver me in 3 dimensions. From what happened, from who it happened with, from when it happened. Because sometimes you'll get free from the what, but the who will still have you bound.
This highly sought-after 4-part message of healing can be yours on CD or DVD. Act now, and we'll include Bishop's book, Healed Without Scars, with your order absolutely free. All yours when you visit our website or call 1-800-591-8480 today.
Welcome back to the #1 Saturday morning Christian-based call-in talk show in America. That's On Point. Any smart device at David G. Evans 1. You can see us and hear us live video stream around the world at David G. Evans 1. You can give us a call, 866-743-8267, as we go to Sydney from Sicklerville. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. How you doing?
Doing all right, man. Thanks for calling us today. What's your comment?
My comment is that I have already voted, but I really think that Mr. Biden. Good morning. I really think that Mr. Biden.
Turn your radio down in the back. You're talking to us twice.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go. That killed your echo, didn't it? No, turn it all the way down, man.
Turn your radio down in the back. Talking to us twice. Okay.
You got it?
Yeah. There you go.
No.
Turn it off. Turn it all the way down and talk to the phone.
All the way down. Okay. Got it? Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Still talking.
No, I turned it all the way down. Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine, as long as you don't try to talk to two of us. There you go.
Okay. My statement is that I think that President Biden hurt himself.
How?
Okay, you know what? I have my television on watching you. Maybe I should cut that off.
Yeah, maybe so. Just turn the volume down.
Yeah. Okay. I just think that Biden hurt himself. I really think that he really hurt his. I mean, Biden helped himself. And,
helped himself. Okay.
Donald Trump, we don't expect nothing different out of him. He just say what he wants when he wants, and that's what we're dealing with. But the main thing I'm thinking about is that the Lord is going to pick His man, and us as people of loving the Lord, knowing what He's going to do, whatever way this comes out, we still must pay attention to what God either has allowed or initiated, and then we got to know that stay in the Word and just love God and keep on, because this is a mess. That's all I can say.
Next time you have the opportunity, if you haven't read it yet, Sydney, read when Israel came to Samuel and told Samuel that they wanted a king like the other nations. And God saw that as a rejection coming through his prophet Samuel. But at the same time, God said, okay, if you want one, I'll let you raise up one. And the nations, quote unquote, voted, and God gave them Saul, because ultimately, watch this, there's a preferred will and there's a permitted will of God. What he permits is not always what he prefers. So Saul was not what he preferred, but it was what he permitted because the people quote unquote voted for him.
Right.
So sometimes even God will permit a thing that is not his preference. And I think that what we've been dealing with for the last 4 years, if you look at how many people of faith voted for this individual, many people of faith didn't vote at all.
Yeah.
Right.
So what we did was really show God what we wanted, and God permitted this. So because obviously when Christian people say that this man represents Jesus returning to the White House, that cannot be true. And that was people of faith.
No.
So when you read that story, kind of read it with that insight and see what God says to you.
Okay. Because when Pharaoh, I think he pleaded to God, and the Lord said, "I'm gonna harden your heart." So whoever's in there, I know he's working behind the scenes. So I done voted, but I do know that us as a people loving God the way we to love Him and know Him, I believe that we're gonna be all right if we stay focused on righteous thinking.
Well, the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart as part of the plan to liberate His people.
Amen.
You know what I'm saying? Thank you for calling us, man. Call us again here.
Okay. All right.
And thanks for watching us on TV, man.
Oh yeah, all the time.
All right, man.
How you and the boys, Sydney?
I'm doing, sir. I'm doing. Taking it one day at a time, trusting God and loving Him. He's my strength right now.
Amen.
Yeah, we've been praying for you, man.
Oh, thank you. And hug the wife for me.
I will, man. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
All right.
Got Angela from Lexington, Kentucky, home of the Derby. Going on.
Good morning.
Good morning to you. How's things down in Kentucky? Tell me what's happening down there. You guys,
we need to pray. We just need to pray. It's praying time, as the old folks used to say.
Yeah.
It's cloudy, kind of cloudy and cool. But I have two comments. My first comment is Mitch McConnell and his bruised lips and hands. Did you see that in the media?
His what?
His bruised hands and lips.
No.
Yes, they said possibly he's on blood thinners or something, but he wasn't looking too good here recently. And on the debate, I don't think Biden looked too well.
Okay,
he
why?
Looked kind of pale to me. He looked very pale to me, and Donald Trump, they had him heavily made up, but we know he recently had a sickness. And you asked the question, why are
Wait a minute. Let me ask you a question. When hasn't Biden looked pale?
He's not looked this pale.
You know what's happening? This election process, this campaigning thing, is extraordinarily physically taxing, mentally taxing, emotionally taxing, and spiritually challenging. And he's in good shape, but he's not a young man.
Trump's followers are more afraid of Kamala becoming president than they are of dealing with him and whatever he's dealing with.
Yeah.
Because nobody's looking well. You know, these are men that are in their late 70s, and you know, like you said, the pressures of campaigning and being president. You know, it's crucial right now.
Well, most people have seen the before and after pictures of presidents, and the 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week for 4 years or 8 years, the stress is noticeably visible on the candidates when they started out being president versus when they left. Most of them leave with gray hair or white hair.
That's right. All of them.
Yeah.
So to understand that the stress of that office is.
But Ronald Reagan died, is it? So
yeah. Reagan died his, but he had to.
Yeah.
You know, so it's an extremely stressful job.
Yeah. All of
But
them.
I think that the fear, of Kamala actually being in a position that they barely wanted Obama in, it's just frightening. It's just really frightening for them, and I feel like they're going to believe anything Trump says as to keep that at bay as long as they possibly can.
I think my president is defiant enough to at least live through his office, but I don't want him to pass away before he gets booted out through voting. But I sure don't want Pence.
At this point, we just need a change. My last comment is Chris Wallace said he was jealous of the moderator for the last debate because she did such a good job.
Did he?
What do you think? What do you think about her performance?
I think he did for the parts that I saw, I think she did a much better job than Chris Wallace did. I thought Chris Wallace acted as though he was not the moderator. I think he acted as though he was a fly on the wall listening to a conversation when he didn't exercise any of the authority given to a moderator in that situation. He lost control very early on, and I think he actually punked out as it relates to the president.
Yeah, at the end of the day, he let it. He just.
Yeah, I think he just punked out. It was like he was like, okay. I'm like, man, will you take control of this conversation, please?
And they said that she had a mute button. I'm not sure that I really could tell there was a mute button. It looked like he was kind of sedated in the beginning, but then he kind of went back to his old tactics of bullying and
did he start that again at the end?
He did. At the end, he started, talking, and she had to kind of pacify him and, ask him a couple of extra questions and, let him think that he was really in control so that he would calm down a little bit. But the first part of the debate was very different than the last part of the debate.
Yeah, I thought the president was attempting to act civil.
Yeah, certainly.
And it kind of leaked through that he really wasn't. It's like a polar bear who has, if you notice, a blank expression. Mm-hmm. And even when they're attacking, the expression does not change. So he gives me that polar bear look where I still know you're a polar bear.
Mm-hmm. Still a bear.
You revealed your nature. I still know who you are. So, you can say please and thank you all day long, but there's a little twist on it.
It was the debate with Pence. I kind of thought he was the one that had a little more sense until I saw that debate. And I saw Trump, it was like Trump light, I guess you could say.
Yeah. Now what's happening in your state? Is McConnell running against anyone strong?
Yes. Well, Amy McGrath.
Okay, how's she doing?
She is a Marine fighter pilot, and she's a mom.
Okay.
And so she's really resonating with the mothers in this area.
Okay.
He's doing everything he can. He's put on blue jeans and plaid shirts and stood with the farmers.
That's not him.
You know what you have to do when you campaign.
But that's not him.
And, everybody knows that. And the fact that people have gone out early to vote, mailed in, stood in line, doing everything, I think this is going to be an extremely interesting election.
Now, you say interesting, meaning she has a possibility of winning?
I think she has a strong base. I think she has a very strong base, and everybody is so tired of Mitch and his antics, except the rural areas. I told you about the urban areas versus the rural areas.
Sure.
And he still has them pretty much under his thumb, but people are ready to get rid of him.
Now, is that the general consensus in Kentucky?
It is among the urban audience.
Well, let me throw you a softball before we go. So why has he stayed in office so long?
Because he has always appealed to his rural. It's more rural here than urban, obviously.
So they're more rural residents than urban residents in Kentucky.
Yes, and so even though they're poor, they still feel superior to Democrats.
Okay.
And that's what he's used, and that's what he's continued to use, and that's why he's been successful.
Now, that's not working so well with this McGrath lady, right?
He's done so many things. We had to live with him through the Obama years, and what he's, everything he said of Obama, that he was wanting, the first agenda was to make him a one-term president, and that he was going to block everything he did.
I remember that.
That didn't settle well, and so I think people still have that carryover, and they have the carryover of, we have to kind of turn this Republican thing around because they're the only ones benefiting from any type of stimulus, as we can understand it.
In Kentucky.
When now the people have lived through the pandemic and they don't have jobs and their businesses are going belly up, they're beginning to understand the importance of their vote.
Absolutely. Thank you for calling us again, Ange.
You're welcome. You guys have a wonderful week.
You too. Now,
bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Don't forget today we're at 12 noon. Today, 12 noon, we have our outdoor service, our drive-in service. Tomorrow morning, we begin a great Sunday once again, beginning at 8 o'clock. Services run each hour with a discussion at 10, and, of course, service 11 and 12. If you're not able to get to, if you're geographically locked out and you can't get to our outdoor service today, our drive-in service, you can see that pre-recorded at 12 noon tomorrow. And then join us again for the 10 Times Better Men series at 6. Series. That begins 5:30. Discussion, 6 o'clock. The teaching, the conversation, about 6:40 or 6:30. Another conversation, pre and post conversation, in right, dovetailing, if you will, bookmarking the conversation about 10 Times Better. Thank you, Brother Richard Wright.
You're welcome.
You made it through.
Pastor Nick will be back.
You did a good job.
Hey, thank you, sir.
Wow, man, we got to think of you more often.
Oh, no.
Didn't seem nervous at all.
Yeah, we got to bring him in when both of us are missing. Remember now, stay strong. Faith acts like a thing is so, even when it's not so, that it might be so. God bless you, and I'll see you next week on OnPointe.